Don't scroll down. Don't let the part of your brain that has learned to expect nothing trick you into thinking that what you're about to read doesn't apply to you. Please stay here for a moment, because this wasn't random. You didn't just happen to find this. What I'm about to say to you was already being planned long before you woke up this morning and long before this moment came. You didn't find this. This found you. I know how the last season has been for you. Not the version you tell other people when they ask how you're doing, but the real one. The one you carry underneath every conversation, underneath every smile you offer the world. You haven't been able to name or explain something that's been sitting quietly inside you. The edges aren't clean. It doesn't fit into a sentence very well. But it's been there, underneath the surface of your normal days, and at some point, it made you a little less talkative than you used to be. I want you to know that I have seen every second of that silence. This isn't for someone whose life is going well and who just needs a little boost on a nice afternoon. This is for the person who is carrying things privately. For the person who asks questions in the dark that they wouldn't say in the light. For the person who is so tired that no amount of sleep seems to help. Please don't leave this moment if that's you. Stay here, because what's in front of you was set up just for you at this moment, not the version of you that everyone else sees. The you that is there when all the doors are shut and all the voices are quiet. I stopped you here on purpose. There is nothing casual about where I put someone. Stay until the end, because the last part has something your heart has been looking for. Something about this time in your life that you haven't quite been able to put into words yet. Not every answer comes at the start. Some truths need to be taken in slowly, because the heart can only hold what it stays present long enough to take in. There are things I saw you carry this year that no one else did. There were mornings when the weight was already on your chest before the day had given you a single reason to feel heavy. You'd lie there and wonder if something was wrong with you because things that seemed easy for other people were so hard for you. But you still got up. You kept going. But I could see exactly how much it cost you to do that. I didn't miss a single morning. I also saw the nights. The times when everything around you finally stopped moving, the house was quiet, and the world outside was calm, but the conversations in your head kept going. The questions came back. The weight pushed harder on you in the quiet than it ever did during the busy day. You'd turn and turn again, watching the hours go by while you couldn't sleep. I was there during those hours, when no one knew you were awake, and no one knew what was going through you. There, in every one of those quiet, dark times, I saw the times when you stayed strong in front of people who needed you to be. When you were talking to someone else in a calm, reassuring way, your own heart was slowly breaking. When your face stayed calm and your voice stayed even, but deep down, you wanted to be held. You kept going. No one around you ever knew how far apart the way you looked and the way you felt really were. I know what kind of smile you gave when you weren't feeling well. Not a fake smile, but the kind people give when they can't explain the truth, when they don't want to be a pain, when they had already tried to talk and felt like no one was listening. They chose to stay quiet instead. I understood all of those pauses. I saw each of those times. I saw the days that looked perfectly normal from the outside, but you were quietly carrying the weight of 100 small griefs that had never been given space to breathe. That kind of weight doesn't come on all at once. It builds up slowly and quietly until one random Tuesday, it feels heavier than it should. I saw the disappointments you never talked about because you didn't want to be seen as someone who couldn't move on. Things you had quietly hoped for, quietly arranged your expectations around, and when they didn't arrive, you absorbed that loss alone. I saw relationships that changed without warning, the people who left without saying why. The ties that once seemed strong slowly fell apart, making you question what you had done wrong and taking on blame for things that weren't your fault. I saw the prayers you sent up late at night, not the polished, pretty prayers, but the real ones, the ones who are desperate, the ones that came out of times that were so private and fragile that you even wondered if they had been heard. People heard them, every single word. There was never a time when I missed or lost anything you told me to do. You were never alone in any of those times, even the ones that made you feel the most alone. I know exactly what kind of tired you've been feeling, not the kind that a good night's sleep can fix. Not the kind of problems that can be solved with a quiet weekend. The deeper kind, the kind that is already there before the day starts. That tiredness is in the soul, not just in the body. And it usually happens to people who have given a lot more than they have gotten, who has been going through a lot more than anyone else knows. That tiredness doesn't mean you're weak. It's clear proof that someone has been carrying a lot without getting enough rest or finding a solution. People have noticed how strong you are. I have seen every moment of the quiet, daily effort to keep going when everything in you wanted to stop. And since I've seen everything, I couldn't wait another day to talk to you directly, before you were born, before you ever took a breath. I already knew everything about you before anyone ever said your name out loud. Not the way that people get to know each other over time by talking and doing things together, but in a way that was already there. I already had every page of your story before it started here on Earth. You didn't become real when people first saw you. You didn't become worthy when someone first chose to love you. Before any of that happened, heaven already knew everything about you. I knew you before you were born, before time set a point in your life, before families had names for who you would be, before any teacher made a decision about how good you could be, before any relationship started to change how you saw yourself, before any injury taught you to be careful about who you trust, before rejection taught you how to protect yourself. I knew you long before any of that got to you, and I loved what I knew, without any conditions, without a doubt, without having to wait and see how you'd turn out. That is the base of everything else I'm telling you today. The people who raised you didn't make you who you are. How people have treated you, praised you, accepted you, or turned you down did not make you valuable. Before any of that could get to you, the foundation was laid. And into that base, I wove things that are yours on purpose, a depth that has sometimes confused even you. You used to think that being sensitive was a burden, but now you know that it is a gift. A way of moving through the world that has made you feel out of place in rooms full of people until you realize that you were never meant to be in shallow water. The way you feel things that other people don't seem to feel. Sometimes silence speaks louder than all the noise around you. You can tell what people are saying and what they aren't saying just as clearly. The way you feel compassion even when it hurts you. None of that is by chance. Everything is just right. Everything about how you were made was done on purpose, and the purpose is still unfolding and moving in ways you haven't fully seen yet. I knew what would try to get to you before pain ever came into your life. And I still chose you, with all my heart, without a second thought. Stick with that. If our messages have blessed or encouraged you, please consider supporting us so we can keep spreading God's love and light to more hearts. You'll find the Ko-fi support link pinned below. Don't let the part of your mind that has learned to expect nothing convince you that this isn't for you. Don't let that quiet, protective voice inside you talk you out of receiving something real. Because this moment right here, right now was not random. You didn't stumble onto this by accident. Long before you opened your eyes this morning, long before this exact second arrived, what I'm about to say to you was already being prepared. You didn't find this. This found you. I know how the last season has been. Not the version you describe to people when they ask how you're doing, the real version. The one you carry underneath every conversation, underneath every smile you offer the world. Something has been sitting quietly inside you that you haven't been able to fully name or explain. It doesn't have clean edges. It doesn't fit neatly into a sentence, but it's been there. Just beneath the surface of your ordinary days, and somewhere along the way, it made you a little quieter than you used to be. I want you to know, I have seen every single moment of that silence. This message isn't for someone whose life is perfectly arranged and who just needs a little encouragement on a peaceful afternoon. This is for the person carrying things privately, for the one asking questions in the dark that they'd never say out loud in the daylight, for the one who is tired in a way that no amount of sleep seems to reach. If that's you, please don't leave this moment. Stay here, because what's in front of you was arranged specifically for the exact condition of your heart right now. Not the version of you that the world sees, the version that exists when every door is closed and every voice around you has finally gone quiet. I stopped you here on purpose. Nothing about where I place someone is casual or accidental. Stay until the very end, because what comes last carries something your heart has been quietly searching for. Something about this specific season that you haven't quite been able to put into words yet. Not every answer arrives at the beginning. Some truths need to be received slowly, because the heart can only hold what it stays present long enough to absorb. There are things I watched you carry this year that nobody around you fully saw. There were mornings when the weight was already sitting on your chest before the day had given you a single reason to feel heavy. You'd lie there wondering if something was wrong with you, why things that seemed to come easily to others felt so much harder inside you. And then you got up anyway. You kept moving. But I saw exactly what it cost you to do that. I didn't miss a single morning. I saw the nights too. The ones when everything around you finally went still, the house quiet, the world outside settled, but inside your mind, the conversations kept going. The questions came back. The weight pressed harder against you in the silence than it ever did during the noise of the day. You'd turn and turn again, watching the hours move forward while rest simply wouldn't come. In those hours when no one knew you were awake, when no one knew what was moving through you, I was there, present in every single one of those quiet, dark moments. I saw the times you held yourself together in front of people who needed you to be strong. When your own heart was quietly falling apart while you spoke calm, steady words to someone else. When your face stayed even and your voice didn't shake, but something deep inside you was silently asking to be held. You kept functioning. Nobody around you ever knew the real distance between how you looked and how you actually felt. I know the kind of smile you gave when you weren't fine. Not a dishonest smile, but the kind people offer when the truth feels too complicated to explain. When they don't want to burden anyone. When they've already tried to speak and felt unseen, silence became the safer choice. I understood every one of those silences. I saw every one of those moments. I saw the prayers you sent up in the deepest hours of the night. Not the polished, presentable ones, but the raw ones. The desperate ones. The ones that came from moments so private and fragile that even you wondered whether they had been heard. They were heard. Every single word. Not one thing you ever directed toward me was lost or went unnoticed. You were never alone in any of those moments, not even in the ones that felt the most isolating. I know the specific kind of tired you've been carrying, not the kind that a full night of sleep restores. Not the kind of quiet weekend repairs, the deeper kind, the kind that's already present before the day places any demands on you. That tiredness lives in the soul, not just the body. And it tends to settle in people who have been giving far more than they've been receiving, who has been enduring more quietly than anyone around them realizes. That exhaustion is not weakness. It is honest evidence of someone who has been carrying a great deal without enough rest or resolution. Your endurance has not gone unnoticed. The quiet, daily effort of continuing forward when everything in you wanted to stop. I have seen every moment of it. And because I've seen all of it, I couldn't let another day pass without speaking to you directly, before you were born, before your first breath. Before any human voice ever spoke your name into the air, I already knew you completely. Not the way people come to know each other gradually over time, but in a way that existed before all of that. Before your story began here on Earth, I already held every single page of it. You didn't become real when people first noticed you. You didn't become worthy when someone first decided to love you. Before any of that happened, heaven already carried the full record of who you are. I knew you before the womb held you, before time gave your life a starting point, before families had names for what you would become, before any teacher formed an opinion about your potential, before any wound taught you to be careful about who you trusted. Before rejection, you were introduced to self-protection. Long before any of that reached you, I knew you. And what I knew, I loved. Without condition, without reservation, without waiting to see how you'd turn out. That is the foundation underneath everything else I'm saying to you today. Your identity did not begin with the people who raised you. Your value was not created by how you've been received, praised, accepted, or turned away. The foundation was laid before any of that could touch you. And into that foundation, I wove things that are specifically and deliberately yours, a depth that has sometimes confused even you, a sensitivity that felt like a burden before you understood it was actually a gift, a way of moving through the world that has made you feel out of place in rooms full of people until you understand that you were simply never built for shallow waters. None of that is accidental. Every part of how you were made was made with intention, with a purpose that is still unfolding in directions you haven't fully had the chance to see yet. And now I need to tell you something about where you are headed. This season you are in right now, I know it feels like a waiting room. It feels like everyone else is stepping into their next chapter while you are still sitting in the same place, wondering when your name is going to be called. But I need you to hear this clearly. The waiting room is not punishment. The waiting room is preparation. There is a difference between being forgotten and being prepared. What looks like stillness from where you are standing is anything but still from where I am standing. Beneath the surface of this quiet season, things are being arranged, things are being aligned, things are being built inside you that simply could not have been built any faster without breaking you in the process. You cannot rush the depth I am forming in you, and you cannot see from where you are standing what I can already see from where I am standing. So when the silence feels like abandonment, when the waiting feels like rejection, come back to this truth. I have not forgotten a single detail of what I promised you. I want to talk to you about the thing you almost gave up on. You know what it is. You don't need me to name it. There was a point somewhere in the middle of this season where you got so tired of hoping for it that you started convincing yourself you didn't really want it anymore. You quietly folded it up and tucked it away and told yourself it was fine, that maybe it just wasn't meant for you. I saw you do that. And I want you to know that the desires that I place in a person are not cruel jokes. They are not there to remind you of what you cannot have. When I put a longing in someone, it is because that longing is connected to something real that I intend to bring. The timing has not always looked the way you expected, but the destination, the thing I placed in your spirit long before you had language for it, that has not changed. Don't bury it. Don't apologize for wanting it. Don't let the length of the wait convince you the answer is no, when what I have actually been saying is not yet. Now let me tell you what I see when I look at your future. I see the version of you that has come through this. I see the person this season is actually producing, because what hard seasons do to someone who keeps their faith, who keeps their heart open, who keeps choosing to get up, even when getting up costs everything that cannot be manufactured any other way. The compassion you will carry into your future has been deepened by what you've suffered in private. The wisdom you will offer to people who are where you are right now has been earned by what you have walked through. The strength forming in you during this quiet, unseen season is the kind that does not collapse under pressure because it was not built in comfortable conditions. I am not wasting a single thing that has happened to you, not one loss, not one disappointment, not one night of tears that dissolved into the dark without anyone witnessing it. Everything, even the parts that felt like pure destruction, is being woven together into something you don't yet have the vantage point to see fully. But I do. And what I see is worth the process. So here is what I'm asking you to do, not forever, not for the whole journey, just for today. Choose to trust me with one more day. Give me the weight before you let the world pile more onto it. Before the noise, before the phone, before the long list of everything still unresolved, give me the first quiet moment of the morning. Not a perfectly arranged prayer, not the right words. Just come as you are, with the tiredness and the questions still on you, and let me meet you there, because that is where I do my best work. Not in the polished moments, not in the put-together versions, but in the raw and quiet ones, when you're too tired to pretend, when your defenses are down, when you're finally still enough to hear me. That is when my voice is clearest. You are not too far gone. You have not missed your window. The door I have prepared for you has not been given to someone else. And the love I have for you has not shifted one single degree based on how this season has looked, based on how many mornings the weight was already there before you opened your eyes, based on how many times you felt like you were barely holding on. You are mine. I chose you before the foundation of the world. I prepared good things for you before you had a name. And I am walking with you through this, not from a distance, not with disappointment, but right here, closer than your own breath, present in every step. This moment was not accidental. This message was not random. You were brought here by a love that knew exactly what you needed to hear today, before you even knew you needed to hear it. So carry this with you. On the hard days when the weight comes back and the questions return, come back to this truth. You are seen, you are known, you are deeply and completely loved. And the one who made you has not for a single moment taken his eyes off of you. Your story is not over. It is not even close to over, and the best pages are still ahead.